All right, so we got a little bit of a surprise today. Didn't think this was going to happen. Lieutenant Nate Clark is here from the Wisconsin State Patrol. He's got a boogie on down to Kenosha when he's done here, so we'll let him take it away. After this, we got DNR, Ward Medina, you guys saw walking around here, and then hopefully Captain Dan Bauman with Waukesha City Police Department.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. As stated, my name's Nate Clark. Sorry, this is kind of weird for me to stand behind plexiglass here. Wisconsin State Patrol, been with this patrol for about 26 years. I currently serve as the lieutenant in the Special Operations Section for the Wisconsin State Patrol. And I guess my purpose here today is to kind of educate everybody here a little bit about what the Wisconsin State Patrol is and does after 80 years of being in service. So I always like to start out, though, and talk to everybody, get your idea. What do you think the Wisconsin State Patrol does? Don't be shy. If you guys don't participate, this goes very quick, and I get to go down to Kenosha. But come on, everybody's got an answer. What does the Wisconsin State Patrol do? What are we famous for? Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to say that you guys do more patrolling of like the freeways and interstates.
Absolutely. That's definitely correct. Marcus, come on, help me out. What are we known for? Writing tickets. Come on, guys, don't be shy, right? We're the guys that we write tickets to everybody in our academy class. We actually have a small class. It's about an hour long. It's called How to Give a Ticket to Your Mom and Actually Make Her Appreciate It that you gave it to her. I jest a little bit, but that is what we are famous for. On average, every year we write about 250,000 citations to motorists on the highways trying to enforce traffic law. But as we go along, I think you'll see that the State Patrol is so much more than a traffic law enforcement agency. We are involved in a lot of things. Just to give you some background on me, 26 years of service with the State Patrol. I started off as a trooper in Racine County for 9 years, promoted as a sergeant here in Waukesha County for 5 years, and then I was transferred down. I ran a federal narcotics task force out of the city of Milwaukee. Essentially what we would do would interdict parcels or shipments of narcotics coming into the state from out of state through entities like FedEx or UPS, the United States Postal Service and other carriers. We would then dress up as the FedEx guy. We would go and deliver the narcotics in what we call a controlled delivery. We would take down the receiving groups that were receiving those narcotics, and then we would follow the investigation back out of state and start tracking down what we call DTOs, drug trafficking organizations from out of state that were shipping narcotics into Wisconsin and trying to eliminate those source locations. So it was a fun 4.5 years. I supervised both federal agents, county sheriff's deputies, 3 Milwaukee police detectives. Most of them were all canine officers, and we had a hugely successful 4.5 years doing that out of Milwaukee. I then promoted to the rank of lieutenant. I was the executive officer here in the southeast region. We'll get to how the State Patrol's divided up here shortly. I did that for about 2.5 years and then transferred down to a special operations assignment in Milwaukee at the Traffic Management Center, where we do a bunch of different stuff. I don't have a clicker, so I'm going to have to pretend I have one. We were formed in 1939. I'm going to step over here a little bit because I don't memorize all these slides. 80 years of tradition, and we are the second largest law enforcement agency in the state of Wisconsin. Anybody have any idea what the largest largest law enforcement agency is in Wisconsin? City of Milwaukee Police Department. They have about 1,800 guys. We are just over 500 sworn and a couple of hundred support. Our mission, to provide exceptional public safety services here in the state of Wisconsin. Like any type of corporation or government agency, we should have mission, vision, and values. That's what we live and breathe by. That's what we teach from the day you get into the academy, 26 years later in your career. Click on. All right, so as I said, the Wisconsin State Patrol, our sworn ranks are broken into 2 different groups. We have troopers and inspectors. Again, our primary responsibility is the enforcement of traffic regulations on Wisconsin highways. That's where you'll see us being most visible, and that is what we are well known for. Our other responses, of course, out on the highway are responding to crashes and then also responding to motorists in assist. Generally, each year we provide assistance to motorists that are stranded on the interstate system, about 42,000 motorist assists a year. So that's a lot of broken down vehicles, people that are stranded out there having medical emergencies and other things that need help, in addition to the crash investigations and the traffic enforcement we do. The troopers, of which I am a trooper, generally traffic stops. Engaging in criminal interdiction is also another big thing that we do now, not only for narcotics, but also human trafficking and any other type of criminal activity out there. We believe that criminals are most vulnerable on the roadway in their car when they're traveling from their home, from the scene of a crime and back. So we try and interdict them when they're out there, and then of course assisting motorists. Our inspectors are responsible for our commercial motor vehicle enforcement, so all of the heavy trucks that are out there. They man the state weight enforcement facilities, or SWEFs, that are on the ports of entries around the state of Wisconsin, also known as chicken coops by the truck driving community out there. They inspect every school bus that you see on the highway or to transport your children, or you guys may have ridden a couple of years ago. Every school bus is inspected annually by our inspectors, and we also inspect every ambulance in the state to make sure it's roadworthy, so that if you're being transported, you're done in a safe manner. Some of the other things the State Patrol will do that we are not famously known for, but that if you join the State Patrol, you do have an opportunity. We attend every Packers game and provide security both in the stadium and outside for traffic. Also at Camp Randall for Badgers games. The Brewers here, primarily City of Milwaukee, handles security, but we provide EOD canines to go and sweep the stadium before every game to make sure that our citizens are safe when they attend. We provide security for large-scale events that didn't happen this year, but in September, at the end of the month, we were scheduled for the Ryder Cup, the PGA event, one of the biggest golf events, estimated to draw about 250,000 visitors to the state of Wisconsin. We prepared for that event for over 2 years for security and traffic planning for the amount of people going up to Kola, Wisconsin. And of course, last week we were supposed to be hosting the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, here in the city of Milwaukee, and we've been working for about 2 years as well with Secret Service and the city of Milwaukee planning for that event, not only for security at the sites and for all of the motorcade travel. We were actually going to bring about 700 buses of delegates up from the state of Illinois. Each one of those buses would have had law enforcement on and motorcades and all of this type of stuff. So very extensive planning to handle security for events like that. One of the things that we did in 2015, Whistling Straits, another golf event. 2017, I was the deputy incident commander for security for the Erin Hills event, the U.S. Open that was held in 2017. So from a state agency's perspective, we get involved in a lot of significant stuff. We also travel out of state. We travel out of state on what's called EMAC requests. They're Emergency Management Area Compacts. EMAC requests are when another state is having problems, like right now we got Hurricane Laura down that hit Texas and Louisiana. If another state's resources are overwhelmed, they can initiate what's called an EMAC request to other state agencies to come and help. So North Dakota up there, you see the symbol. We went out there for the pipeline protests a couple of years ago. In 2016, we were out in Cleveland, Ohio for the Republican National Convention, providing support to the Ohio Highway Patrol. We provide support services for Milwaukee County whenever they're not able to patrol the interstates in Milwaukee and other events.
One more time, emergency management assistance.
Area compact.
What's that?
Area compact.
Area compact, sorry.
Another big focus for the State Patrol is dignitary protection. As soon as I clear from here, I'm beating feet down to Kenosha. I won't speed, I promise. And we have POTUS coming into Waukegan Airport. He'll be coming up to Kenosha. We are providing 90 troopers, so almost a quarter of our contingent from across the state is providing security and traffic points in the motorcade for POTUS coming out of Illinois up to Kenosha and back. When Paul Ryan was the Speaker of the House, anytime he was in Wisconsin, we had troopers on his residence and provided motorcade assistance to the U.S. Capitol Police for him. And then Our state patrol units, we have what we call a DPU, a dignitary protection unit, 9 guys that are assigned to that, and they provide 24/7 protection to the governor, the lieutenant governor, and his families, their families. Essentially what we do is we pick them up from their residence and we drop them off and tuck them into bed, and then the Capitol Police for the state of Wisconsin takes care of the residents for that. Yes, sir.
Question, is 90 troopers a normal dignitary thing for the POTUS, or is that heightened due to Kenosha?
This is one of the biggest ones we've ever had because of what's happening, because of the civil unrest in the city of Kenosha right now, and the intelligence that we've got as far as plans for people blocking the motorcade, essentially, and trying to disrupt the motorcade, and challenging by breaching the blocked off areas of the highway. Whenever you have a POTUS detail, you have to block both the direction and also counter-directional flow. It's the only dignitary in the United States that gets that level of treatment. So if you're out on the interstate and POTUS is going by, we also have to block the alternate lanes as well. Yes, sir.
Do you think Wisconsin will ever take Florida's example and make a law where you can, if people are blocking the road, you can run them over?
Probably not. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean,
That would stop all this right away, I think.
it's a deadly force situation, and at this point in time, a determination would have to be made by our resources whether or not that POTUS is coming under a deadly force situation, that we'd have to utilize deadly force. To be honest with you, Secret Service run this motorcade, and they will do what they have to do to evacuate POTUS if they think he's under threat. The level of security for a POTUS event is unbelievable. Most of the things that you guys don't get to see on the periphery, and what Secret Service does to protect somebody like that. So I have full confidence not only in the State Patrol and all the assisting local agencies that are going to help us out, but the Secret Service that will get him up. We'll get him from wheels down to wheels up is what we call it, and we'll get Stagecoach out. So. As I said, DPU for the governor, we do provide that. We also do visiting dignitaries, where we will work with another federal agency. The State Department also has a dignitary protection unit. So when we have visiting royalty coming in, Maharajas from India, I've been on different details and stuff like that. So again, something that you can't buy your way into. No amount of money is going to get you into a motorcade with POTUS or some of these things. It's a very rare opportunity to do so. I am fortunate enough, over the 26 years of my career, I have met every living president all the way back to Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter I got to meet at the back of a Walmart in West Bend. He was signing autographs for a book he'd written, so great opportunities. Our canine unit, we have 9 canines at this point in time. This slide's old. It's been a busy couple of months for us with all the stuff going on. We now have 9. We have 2 EOD dogs, explosive ordnance disposal canines, that are strictly for the detection of explosive material. The most successful way we can have one of those is they never find anything in their career, we hope. And then we have our narcotics dogs. We do not have bite dogs on the State Patrol. We have single-purpose dogs, so they're either narcotics or EOD. They're not patrol dogs where they're dual purpose for tracking or biting. You can see a summary of what the canine unit themselves seized in 2018. I haven't updated this slide for 2019. But again, our criminal interdiction program is very robust. The statistics, I believe, show the State Patrol will make the second biggest amount of criminal arrests for a law enforcement agency in the state of Wisconsin. So we are very effective when it comes to criminal interdiction out on the highways. TRU, again, another jewel in the crown of the State Patrol. Our TRU unit, our Technical Reconstruction Unit, go around. What's that? Yes, TRU, Technical Reconstruction Unit. State Patrol were renowned for motor crash investigation. We were the specialists, and so we took the best of the best. We gave them all of this equipment, and now they travel around. They average between 400 and 500 cases a year. Generally, we go in and support local law enforcement for crash investigations. We do, of course, our motor carrier or a motor crash, fatal crash investigations. But nowadays, we are also going to a lot of criminal scene recon. So homicide investigations, every officer involved shooting in the state of Wisconsin, the State Patrol TRU will be on the scene. If you look at the Jacob Blake shooting in Kenosha, we were out there. Sylville Smith in Milwaukee, most recently. We will go to all of those scenes, investigate it. We map out the crime scene. We provide all of those diagrams and resources, just like you may see on TV with like CSI or something like that, to the investigating agency and support them in their investigation. So we work hand in hand with our sister agency over in DOJ, DCI, and any also local law enforcement agencies that may request us. Very difficult to get into this unit. You have to have a lot of math and science background. You are expected to be ACTAR certified, and generally when you're in, you're on call 24/7 around the state for deployment. We have an honor guard. These guys, again, they look very strack in their uniforms. They will do a lot of opening ceremonies for high-scale events, whether it's a PGA or something like that. They also attend every law enforcement officer's funeral in the state. And then for sister state agencies nationally, we will send 1 or 2 of our troopers to every law enforcement, state police, or highway patrol or state patrol around the country, so that we partner with our sister agencies and pay our respects for that. Unbeknownst to most people, we do have a force protection team and tactical team. We actually have 3 different entities. We have some of our guys that are assigned, for example, here in Waukesha County, we have 1 trooper assigned to the Waukesha County TAC team, which is primarily controlled by the Sheriff's Office. We have a partnership with DNR and DCI, our state partners for law enforcement, where we have a combined tactical SWAT team, and then we have also our own DSP SWAT team as well. We do a lot of warrant service, and then we also do what we call force protection. So when there's civil disturbance happening and you see all the officers on the ground, generally they're going to have a force protection team, snipers overhead to protect those guys from any threats that are coming towards them. The other thing that they will do, will support Secret Service and DPU with what we call CAT teams, counter assault teams. So generally what happens is if there is a threat towards the motorcade and to the protectee, our job on the motorcade when we're transporting is to get and evacuate the protectee from the scene. CAT, or counter assault, is to go after the threat and try and neutralize the threat while we're evacuating the protectee. Other specialty units, we are the only law enforcement agency in the state of Wisconsin with air and air support. We have 3 fixed-wing aircraft. We use it for traffic enforcement. We use it for surveillance. We use it for pre-operational surveillance for things like warrants, for GROW operations when we're trying to take down narcotics.
Is the pilot also a sworn police officer, or is he a contract?
Nope, all of our pilots are state patrol troopers and/or inspectors. And then we also have 10 unmanned aerial systems or drones that we just introduced last year, so we utilize those a lot. A lot of those things are used for like search and rescue missions along with our fixed-wing aircraft. We also use them for natural disaster response, so like flooding and things like that. As part of the Department of Transportation, when flooding occurs on state highways or washes out segments of the interstate and a human being can't actually get there safely to do a survey of an incident, we'll send the drone operators in there to get really good footage so that the engineers and stuff know what they're looking at to rebuild. And the other thing that we'll do for our aircraft, and aside from traffic enforcement, is crash investigation. When we have major crashes, we'll use things like photogrammetry and take scene surveillance from overhead so that we can map that out and try and figure out what happened during the crash investigation. We do have 10 motorcycles. Our mobile field forces, our civil disturbance team, they're highly trained. They have various segments of the mobile field force, like cut and Peru teams, which essentially is extraction when people try and chain themselves together or use pipes and things like that to try and become disruptive on, say, like a motorcade event and block the highway. Again, our local SWAT teams. And then we provide instruction. We have a State Patrol Academy up on Fort McCoy, just outside of Tomah, but we will send our instructor experts, if you will, not only here to local tech colleges, but around the state to provide instruction from everything from firearms to crash investigation or whatever our instructors are. We have a Bureau of Support Services. We did. They just got renamed, but these are the support organizations. You can just kind of click through them. There we go. The Academy, of course, as I talked about, if you decide to join the State Patrol or the DNR, you'll get to see our wonderful State Patrol Academy. We host the DNR, and they do their basic recruit training. The Traffic Management Center section, believe it or not, we actually run when you drive down the highway and see the big overhead signs with the silly messages and all that type of stuff. That is a State Patrol responsibility. We run 470 traffic cameras around the state of Wisconsin that we use for not only identification of disabled vehicles or crashes and other things that are happening on the highway, but we use them for surveillance of criminal activity where motorists or criminals are driving on the highway. We'll track them on things like that. We'll use them today for POTUS to track the motorcade and look for vehicles or pedestrians that are blocking ingress and egress for motorcades for dignitaries and things like that. And then our Public Safety Technical Services, that's essentially our IT department. Any law enforcement agency, you look around this room, you see everybody sitting on a laptop right now. Well, so does every state trooper. So does our DNR warden over here. Without an IT department, I think at this point in time we'd probably fall apart. So we have a robust IT department that services not only our mobile data computers, but we also operate an entire fiber network around the entire state of Wisconsin that they oversee. And then our engineering and communications, they're essentially our radio guys. They're the radio techs that put the radios in the cars, in the planes, and allow us to interrupt with Kenosha and the Secret Service and all the other law enforcement agencies for an event like today, or for the civil disturbance event that I'll be overseeing tonight in Kenosha. Just some stats again from 2018. You can see 489 sworn personnel. We're a little short on recruiting. We're going through our recruiting cycle right now, which we'll get to. Citations, these are just numbers of inspections that happen. The number of drunk drivers that are removed from the highway each year by the State Patrol, almost 4,000. Keep going.
You do give out warnings?
We do. We actually give out more warnings than citations. Unbelievable, right? As I said, arrests, majority of which is over 4,000 arrests for controlled substances. We arrest about 1,500 people on warrants, just interdicting again on the highway. Probation and parole holds, that number is off a bit. It's about 4,000 as well. Missing a zero on there. And then non-traffic arrests as well.
Is that a homemade handgun?
What's that?
Is that a homemade handgun or what?
I don't know what type of gun that was, mate. Our vehicle fleet, we have a very diverse fleet. Everything from the Suburbans that we run to transport the governor around in. I think we finally got rid of all the Crown Vics on our agency. But you can see a lot of diverse vehicles in our fleet for the diverse needs, whether it's Suburban to move the governor around or a larger vehicle for an inspector to carry mobile weight technology, mobile scales, portable scales that they can put. So depending on what your assignment is and what your responsibility, different fleets. The application process, we are currently in the middle of our application process. The online portion has completed, and we just did our physical readiness testing here in the Milwaukee area on last Tuesday, I believe, Tuesday and Wednesday. Once physical readiness is completed, we put you through a background investigation, just like any law enforcement agency will, and then we have in-person interviews, a written psychological. We'll make our conditional offers to you, and then you are invited to join us at the State Patrol Academy, where we'll run you through a medical, hearing, vision, and also an in-person psychological interview as well before we make final offers. And that class is scheduled to start in January, and we'll start our recruitment cycle again in January of 2021. Benefits, of course, the old state benefits that everyone's heard about. Dental, health, vision, Wisconsin retirement system, which I'm not too far away from. You get 104 hours of vacation to start, 36 hours of personal. You get 4.5 hours of sick leave every 2 weeks. That is nice because we can accrue that. So when you do retire, you take all of your sick leave that you haven't used, they multiply it like by your last hourly wage, they put it into a account for you, and you can pay for your health insurance after you've retired until you're old enough to get Medicare. So that's kind of an incentive for you to not use sick leave throughout the course of your career or abuse it, so that you can continue, you can retire. For us, we can retire at 53 without a penalty. So. We provide all your uniforms, equipment, and training, and the pay tops out after 7 years at $34.42 for a trooper or inspector. Training, like any other state police agency around the country, we are a paramilitary organization. You will go through 6 months of intense paramilitary training approximately at the State Patrol Academy, irregardless of whether you are certified, certifiable, have a degree or don't have a degree. We put every trooper and inspector through the same training. There is no accelerated program in the State Patrol at this point in time to earn the right to wear the Stetson. The Academy, as I said, on Fort McCoy between Toma and Sparta. When you come in, your starting wage is $23.73 an hour at this point in time, although I think we get a 2% raise next year. And you are paid throughout your course of training at the Academy, all meals and housing. That sounds exciting, but it's not. The meals are terrible, and the housing isn't that fancy. But you do get all of your uniforms, equipment, and so on. After graduation, big state, right? Where are you going to go? That depends on you. It depends on how well you do in our academy. You are ranked based on your academics, your physicals, your shooting prowess, and a number of other factors throughout the course of your training in the academy. The number one cadet coming out of the academy gets to choose from all of the available spots, and the guy comes out at the bottom normally ends up at the Kenosha SWEF. Get a small raise as you come out after your 6 months at the academy. You do get your take-home cruiser on day one. It's not as fancy as the DNR, who not only get a cruiser, like a big truck, but they get a boat and a snowmobile and an ATV. So you better have a big enough house to put it all. We just give you a car and a bike if you get to be a bike officer. And the plane gets to stay at the hangar for whoever was asking about the planes. We will provide moving expenses if you are required to move more than 35 miles to your sector assignment. You are covered for moving expenses. There's 12 weeks of field training. You get a year and a half of probation after you get out of the academy, and then we take you back to our academy and you test out for a week to make sure you are ready and raring to go and to get off probation. So placement again. The executive command team will make a determination when you get out of or when you're due to graduate. Highest ranking gets to pick from the list. The bottom rank gets what's left. But after field training, depending on the vacancies, you can pretty much transfer anywhere in the state of Wisconsin, depending on what you like to do. Each county does have a troop. We are divided into 5 regions. There are 7 buildings or headquarter locations. The closest one of ours is, of course, in Waukesha on Highway 18 by the Oscars. We allow you to live right now 25 miles from your assigned county. So if you're a Waukesha County trooper, you literally can almost live in Rock County and still come to work. You do get, as I said, to take your car home, and we pay you from driveway to driveway, because once you get in your car and your uniform and you head out the door, you have statewide jurisdiction, so we expect you to take enforcement action, respond to calls for service, or do whatever it is that you need to do. And therefore you're compensated. When I first got out, they didn't. They used to make us drive to our sectors on our own time in the car, and that didn't really work out because we were always finding things to do. There's the inspector trooper pay scale if you're interested in that. Any questions you may have? No questions at all from a class this big. Yes, sir.
In like the more rural areas, more so like up north, you guys respond more sort of to like, I guess, calls for service that aren't really traffic related?
Absolutely. Yeah, depending on what county you're in. I mean, there are counties out there, I believe it's Polk County. There is no law enforcement on from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. It's an on-call deputy. There's literally not a cop in the county. So yes, as a state patrol trooper, the further up north you go, the more likely you are to be involved in things like domestics and other calls for service that you're backing up the county constantly. That being said, that happens in the southeast region all the time as well. Our radios, whether it's the Wiscom system that the state uses, here in Waukesha, Milwaukee, they're on a system called Oasis. We patch all those systems together, so the troopers and the deputies and the city cops are all listening to each other. And depending on your relationship and your work ethic, you build that with your local partners, with the DNR, whoever it may be. And you know, there's no color uniform, there's no patch that you don't go and help. I mean, we're all in the same business. And if Marcus is over here is dealing with an issue, whether it's one of the state parks or dealing with some type of violation, I mean, this guy has one of the most dangerous jobs in the state of Wisconsin. He's normally by himself, and pretty much every call he goes to is what? They're armed, right? They're hunting. Everybody's got a gun, and not all of them are good individuals. A lot of them are intoxicated, impaired, making bad judgments, and then they see Marcus walking down, you know. So definitely we're going to go and back him up and make sure he's safe and he's going home to his family and stuff. So yeah, you'll get a little bit more of that up north because of just the amount of law enforcement officers that are condensed here in the southeast region. But I'll let you know, I mean, with civil unrest right now, we were just in the city of Milwaukee. We provided at times between 30 and 50 troopers to the city of Milwaukee that already have 1,800 officers to deal with the civil unrest that they had a couple of months ago. You never know where you're going to end up on the state patrol. We will pull you from everywhere and send you to, you know, the flashpoints in the state of Wisconsin so that you can get things back under control and head back home. Of course, when you do that, we do put you up in hotels and feed you and all of that type of stuff. So, yes, sir.
What did you mean by conditional offers after an interview and then you went back for another interview?
Conditional offer is, yep, you're in the class as long as you pass your medical, your fitness for duty, and your psychological in-person interview with a psychologist. So you get a written psychological that they do an assessment on, and then they'll bring you in for a one-on-one interview, looking at the results of that written psychological and how they discuss things with you. And as long as you get through those two steps, you're in the class. All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you.